For these situations, sadly, it seems like that preparation has not been in vain. Robert Ovadia, thank you. We're going to go now to Maria Jovanovic in our Canberra studios, who has an update for us. Maria.
Well, Nick, as we said earlier, the Prime Minister has put out a statement. He says he's spoken to the New South Wales Premier, Mike Baird, and offered any Commonwealth assistance. That's come after the National Security Committee of Cabinet met this morning, had a briefing on this. They would have had the latest information there. That wrapped up in the last half an hour or so. The Prime Minister certainly urged Australians to be reassured about the work that police officers are doing on the ground, and that's really been echoed by the New South Wales Premier, Mike Baird. He's also said that his thoughts and prayers are with those affected, of course, but also the police who are trained to deal with these events, but nonetheless a huge job for them as well today. He says he's spoken to the police commissioner and has full confidence that they'll be able to effectively work out this situation. It's what they're trained to do, and they spend a lot of time sort of working on these scenarios. So he's certainly putting people's minds at ease there. Here at Parliament House, we haven't really noticed much of a difference in security, even though security was upped here a couple of months ago. As part of the government's moves to improve its anti-terror legislation and national security. Today we're not really seeing too much of a change. That was done several months ago, but as far as we can see outside the building, not too much different today. There are some increasing reports that the gunman wants to speak to the Prime Minister. That's been seen a lot on social media. Whether or not that has been confirmed, it hasn't been confirmed by the Prime Minister certainly, but would be fairly frightening to see an attack directed at him as well.
All right, Maria Jovanovic in our Canberra studios. Thanks so much for your time. We'll talk to you again shortly. Greg Barton from Monash University. You heard those reports that the attacker is wanting to talk to the Prime Minister. Your thoughts?
Well, we've got a bit of confirmation on that, of course. It's possible. This is, in the absence of knowledge, we're just sort of filling the gaps. If it is confirmed, it's an interesting development because it puts the Prime Minister in a difficult position. You don't want to be seen to be negotiating, but leave hostages. You'd rather do anything you can to keep those hostages safe. If there's any possibility of ending this siege, as most sieges are ended, conventional sieges through negotiation, that'll be the route to go. The concern with this kind of scenario, it's brand new for us, is that there may not be any point of negotiation. So if indeed the attacker is asking for something, it's the beginning of some sort of negotiation, which may be a way out.
Hostage situations that we've seen in the past, there's obviously a number of ways they can end. What are some of the ways we've seen them end?
Well, most hostage situations, we've got somebody who's got some personal issue, not a terrorism case, and they simply want attention, and you have very skilled police negotiators who talk them through, talk them down, find some point of contact. Most times they're able to negotiate with them. Terrorism, particularly modern terrorism of this kind, is much harder to deal with, but the hope is if there's a request for something that opens up the channel of negotiation and that leads to some sort of peaceful exit.
A dialogue would be a good sign in your mind.
Dialogue is much better than somebody deciding that the only way to end this is with violence.
Yeah. The terrifying scenes there at Martin Place in the Lindt chocolate shop, where 13 people are being held hostage by people we fear, person or people we fear, maybe Islamic terrorists. There were buildings around the area were evacuated. In the early stages, people thought this was a hold-up situation. Turned out that we're now looking at something much more serious. Here's some of the thoughts of people who were on the streets nearby.
Just a lot of police action and fight was really going on. Well, just word of mouth, really. Just people being held hostage.
I asked some of the people working, and they said that some terrorists taken hostage. It's a very, very bad and sad thing during this festive season. People should not go crazy over here, And I felt really sad during this time of the year.
Now, Greg Barton, we saw and heard from Robert Ovadia earlier about the evacuation procedure. We saw some footage of it. In fact, I believe we're looking at some footage of that right now. It seems very, very calm, well ordered, as though police really have this down to a fine art. They acted very quickly today.
They did. Very, very, very rapid response. They are, as I said earlier, at the top of their game. I mean, the Australian police capacity and associated counter-terrorism forces are as good as you'll find anywhere. They train constantly for this. They've evolved their training as the threats evolved. They put a heavy reliance on intelligence and nowadays increasingly on social media. So
if you've just tuned in, this right now is a live shot from Martin Place, which is right in the heart of the financial district in downtown Sydney. We're just going to tell you what we absolutely know, no more than that and no speculation. Hostages have been taken in a Lindt chocolate cafe in Martin Place, somewhere in the region of 13 hostages. Channel 7, whose coverage we are taking, are reporting. It appears, but it is not confirmed, that there are 2 gunmen in the Lindt Chocolate Cafe. They have not identified themselves and they have not declared who they are there on behalf of or why they are there. It began at 9:45 city time, 11:45 local time. Just want to stress one thing. Those shots of the hostages in the window, they are not live shots. They are pre-recorded from earlier. The only live shots are the ones down that street. We will be back with Channel 7's coverage live in a couple of minutes.